Which leadership group?
The Chamber of Commerce Leadership Group. Have you ever done that?
No.
They're in the back row on the left.
Okay, I'll find a time to meet with them.
Well, I mean, I was going to say, let them say a pledge.
Is that them? See a lot of people?
Yeah.
Whatever you do.
Good evening. I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. We're a little late getting started, but we had a lot of guests with us this evening. Thank you guys for being here. I want to get started with our Pledge of Allegiance. I understand that we have some participants from the Moore County Leadership Institute who are here. Would you guys like to lead us in the pledge?
All three of you, let's go.
Come on.
Just start with the words.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. It's always fun to put somebody on the spot. All right, we're going to start our evening with our town manager's comments. We did not have a super long meeting, but after Reagan speaks, we'll have public comment, no consent agenda, and then go through our 4 or 3 items. Mr. Parsons.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Clement, members of council, and the public. As you stated, short agenda this evening. You have 4 action items. The first 2 spun out of your conversation at the work session just a couple of weeks ago relative to some offers of donation from the Daughters of American Revolution group. And then your third item is an architectural review, and this is architecture you've seen previously during a PDP review, so I don't think anything there is going to shock you. And then finally, there is a request to abandon some town right-of-way, and this simply sets the public hearing for that request. And I'm sure planning staff will have just a couple of words to say about that. Otherwise, I'm happy to take any questions or turn it back over to you to adopt the agenda.
Okay. Reagan and I had spoken before about, because we have 2 items for the Daughters of American Revolution, combining them to one. If there are any questions, or if there's just a motion to approve the agenda. We don't have any consent today, so just the approving the list on the agenda.
So moved, Mayor.
Is there a second? All those in favor vote by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, moving on to our public comments. Our public comments are limited to Sorry, thought I was talking over somebody. Our public comments are limited to 3 minutes. If you will please just take your turns, come up to the microphone, introduce yourself with a name and your address. And then I think our town clerk, Ms. Robertson, will keep an eye on the time for you. If the
Information, if
Yes.
folks are trying to talk about some of the action items, you want them to wait until those come up?
So the action items are not public hearings, and so they would speak about them now.
So they just, okay, thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good
And
afternoon.
thank you for allowing us this time. Hello. My name is Tessie Taylor. I live at 224 Haley Street, Southern Pines, North Carolina. My comments are about the offer of signage for the DAR for our town building. I'm in favor of all parts of American history being recognized in their respective places. I do not think that our town hall necessarily needs to start the precedent of having focused organizations being represented within the town hall, because those spaces are for all of us as community members. I did do a little research. I've known about the DAR for quite some time, but it represents to me a time as an African American in Southern Pines who've had people who fought in wars from yay to they. The way that I could belong to this organization is their choice, because everybody has to have points of order. But you have to prove a lineal descent from an ancestor who actually fought in that war in that period of time during the American Revolution, 1775 to 1783. It's interesting to note that that organization is beginning to recognize African Americans and Native Americans and other minority patriots who contributed to the fight for American independence from England. However, the majority of the people of color, including the Native Americans, were not freed people. They were in servitude, not by choice, but by ownership. And much different than some other wars that have taken place over a period of time. I read that in the first African American inducted into one of the groups in North Carolina was in 2023, 100 years after the organization of this group. I do think we have a place in our town, the Kenneth Black Cemetery, who fought on the side of England, actually, during that period of time, and it is there, and it is protected, and it is a part of our heritage because that family belonged here. But I think that there is a place in town that might be more appropriate for that kind of signage. The donation is, we're always welcoming people who want to improve on things, but we must keep in mind that everybody has to be included in the conversation, and everybody has to be represented in the conversation. And it just doesn't seem appropriate. I understand their place and their role in our community, and it's not that they're not welcome. They absolutely are. But its heritage.
If you'll just try to wrap up, we have the
itself,
timer.
okay, the heritage in itself of the DAR is not representative of the entire population of the United States of America in cohesive conjunction with our Constitution. Thank you.
Thank you, Tessie.
Good evening. I am Dorothy Brower, 102 Eastman Road. I'd like to applaud Mason Maddox for conducting a very well-organized session last night on the survey, historical survey. Please let him know that Ms. Dot says he did a great job. We had a very engaged audience. Our mayor was present, and I believe even those persons who came who weren't sure of what to expect left with a greater feeling of inclusiveness for African Americans in our town. And so we look forward to what will come of this. I also concur with what Tessie Taylor has said about the offer from the Daughters of the American Revolution, an honored group, but not for our public buildings. This will set an unfair precedent. I'm a member of about 4 international organizations, so can my organizations do the same? African Americans served in the Revolutionary War out of necessity, whether it was with the British or with the colonies, and none got their just due. Recently, I know that Henry Louis Gates is a member of the Sons of the American Revolution, but that does not clarify the fact that the role of the African Americans in the Revolutionary War was warranted or honored. In my opinion, none of the wars have granted us as African Americans our just due. Vietnam put our men first on the front lines. We have one here from Southern Pines who was only in Vietnam for maybe a day and he was killed. Many African American men who would be a part of our population now died in Vietnam and in other wars. Some of our celebrities had to go to Europe to get recognition for their talents. I had friends at NC Central University who ran track who said they were greater appreciated in Europe than here in the United States. So for a public building that I am supporting, I say no to both offers. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Brower. Is there anyone else who would like to speak? Okay, seeing none. We will move on to, we'll skip over 5 as our consent agenda since we have nothing there. We have no public hearings this evening, so we'll move on to our action items. Action item A and B together, I think with the DAR. Does staff want to say anything, or do you want to just move to their presentation? Okay. Thank you guys for being here. I think there's a presentation that you all sent us. Are you ready for that to be pulled up? Okay. Yeah, it's.
My name is Marcia Jacobs. I'm the regent of the Alfredmore chapter, Daughters of the American Revolution, here based out of Southern Pines. I'd like to thank you for allowing us the opportunity to speak. I'm going to do the first portion of who is the DAR, and then I'm going to turn the time over to Kathy Carpenter, who will give the specifics as the historian of our chapter. Do you want me to tell me to do the next slide? Oh, perfect.
Point this and that, and then twist forward. Should work.
Thank you. Ditto. The Daughters of the American Revolution was established 136 years ago in 1890. We've done a lot in those 136 years to grow and to progress. We have formed 64 different types of committees that would be appealing to any person. And it varies anywhere between arts and crafts, photography, American history, education, patriotism, veterans. It's a very large list. And so we like to encourage our members to look at these committees and find what draws them to them and be able to put their valuable talents into these areas. It worked. 102 years ago, the Alfredmore chapter was established here in Southern Pines. The very first meeting was at the house on Pennsylvania Avenue, and it was owned by Mrs. Charles Whitaker, and that's where they did the organization. 2 years ago, we actually celebrated our 100th anniversary, and we did over here at the Pennock Village, and we had a wonderful time. And we celebrated, it was called Through the Decades, and we actually would focus on things that happened, whether it was clothing or what was being shown over at the movie theater, whatever you want to call it. But we did different things through the decades, and that was our theme. Our 3 pillars are focused on historic preservation, education, and patriotism. And our mission is carried out through these 3 primary objectives. But I want to start first with historic preservation. We support museums, archives, and genealogical research. We protect and restore historical sites, and we preserve Revolutionary War records and artifacts. But it's more than just collecting records and restoring cemeteries. It is a very thoughtful effort to recognize, protect, and share stories, places, and traditions that shape our communities. The next thing that I would like to address is what we do for education. We provide scholarships and educational awards. We support schools and their literacy programs. We promote American history programs for our students. In the lower left-hand corner, you'll see a bunch of children that, that's not from our chapter, but from a different chapter. And they support them. They will develop teachers, members will help teachers with their programs and their lesson manuals. And then they'll go in there and they'll teach it to the children. Here on the right is an example of DAR Good Citizens Awards. Each school selects 1 senior, and we will give that person a $500 scholarship. In addition to that is the ROTC program. That is the same thing. The school will select, and it's normally the commander, and he'll send me the information. He'll say, this person has excelled as a senior in our program. Would you like to honor this person? And we will say, definitely. So we will do that as well. we have essay contests. And essay contests can vary anywhere between first grade and 12th grade. It depends upon the level. And now they have integrated into even video to be more attractive to these children that love playing on their phones and doing anything that has to do with technology. The third mission statement is about patriotism. Honoring their veterans and active duty military, along with their families, promoting citizenship and civic responsibility, and supporting programs that encourage love of country and national service. We participate by sending care packages to our deployed servicemen. We also have baby showers when it comes to military wives when their husbands are deployed. We actually do wreath-laying ceremonies with the American Legion and other organizations, as an example for Memorial Day or for the POW MIA. And as a matter of fact, we just finished participating in a 250 for America 250 gratitude, where we actually came together, and at a minimum, we wrote out 250 cards for our veterans, whether it was for thanking them for their service or for their birthdays or for Christmas and for Thanksgiving. We participated in that challenge because they're very special to us. In addition to that, we also even focus on honoring our women, whether it's past or the present, whether it's near or far. And that is something that we have started to do a couple years ago. They created this new program to make sure that we do honor the women and the wonderful things that they have done throughout history and for our communities and worldwide as well. Another way that we're supportive has to do with the children of the American Revolution. And then also we collect books and we donate them to local elementary schools and their libraries. And as you can see, we have a couple of those examples there. And this is just, these pictures here are just from last year. We were very, very active in 2025. And we continue to do that, and we continue to grow. Another thing that I wanted to bring to your attention is the conservation. 10 years ago, we adopted a street here in Southern Pines, and we've been keeping it clean. In the lower left hand, you will see that back in August, we had a group together, and we picked up on Connecticut Avenue. And we truly believe that by keeping our roads clean, we are enhancing the beautification of this lovely town. In addition to that, we want to make sure that the wildlife is free from injury or obstruction, among other things. And once again, I want to go back to our veterans. We participate on an annual basis as part of the Veterans Day Parade. We work together with the SAR, the Sons of the American Revolution, and then also the other chapter here that's located in Pinehurst, the Temperance Smith Alston. Every Veterans Day, we get together and we either walk together or we ride in, or have a float or do something. In the top right-hand corner, you're going to see two of our ladies, Carolyn and Winnie. They even participated by helping making the breakfast and donated their time to something that's very near and dear to them. In the top left-hand corner, that's just an example of some of the food that we collected in order to send some care packages. And for that one project, we sent roughly, I think it was seven or eight packages overseas to my son-in-law and his unit to let them know how much we love and support them and everything that they do for us. Another thing that we started about 10 years ago has to do with Habitat for Humanity. We love the fact that some of our prior members established this partnership with Habitat, where there's a home dedication that we want to give them an American flag to be able to hang on their house or on their tree, wherever they decide is the best place for it to be. In 2025 alone, I think we participated in 8 home dedications. As I mentioned earlier, one of the committees that we have has to do with the arts, and we actually call it American Heritage. In the top left-hand corner, you're going to see a lovely lady. Let me think, she's smack in the middle. She's 1, 2, 3, 4 from the left. Her name is Jean Smith. She is the mother of one of our ladies here, Wendy. Jean is a watercolor artist, and she participated with the Arts Council, and she was displaying her artwork, and we all wanted to get together to support her and all the other artists at the council. In addition to that, you'll see in the top right-hand corner where we participated with the Weymouth Drums of Liberty Weekend back in June. In addition to that, we also participated in partnership with the Temperance Smith because we wanted the public to know who we are and that we're there to support them. As a genealogist myself, I'd like to educate people on how to preserve their history. I teach at different organizations, whether it's at church or other chapters or with the Genealogical Society, different types of situations. Even over at UNCP, I was asked to be a speaker there and taught about the Native American. As you can see in the picture up there on Zachariah Jacobs, that is my husband's ancestor. And so when my sister-in-law asked if she can join the DAR, I went and searched for a patriot and was able to find one of Native American descent. And so we were very proud about that as well. But educating people and teaching them how to do their family history research is very important to us as well as part of historic preservation. As you can see by this, we were able to decorate a Christmas tree here in downtown Southern Pines. This was part of the America 250 committee, and they proudly got together and they created a bunch of little ornaments that displayed little silhouettes of the patriots from all the members that are within our chapter. In addition to that, on September the 17th, we did a live feed from downtown Southern Pines over here at the park, and we participated with Bells Across America. It was really a wonderful experience. We dressed up, as you can see, in our colonial outfits, and we rang our bells for the 1 minute at 4 o'clock and ran into some people that we knew. But the most fascinating thing was when we had these 4 young little girls, elementary school children, that came up, and they started asking questions. And the first thing I did was, "Where's mommy? Where's daddy?" They're like, "Right there." And I said, "Okay." So with their support, we were able to teach them about the Constitution and about our history and why we were ringing bells across America. On the right-hand side, we participated with different organizations over at the Sunrise Theater, and where we saw the colonial movie, Morning Rising. And of course, for as long as I can remember, we've been participating with Wreaths Across America annually. We started out over with just one cemetery, which was Pine Lawn. But now that this has grown, they have added on 2 more cemeteries for us to participate in. So we really do aggressively contact people and try to encourage the wreaths, and then we will go to the cemeteries and very respectfully present them on these headstones. I had mentioned before at the last meeting that with the Daughters of the American Revolution, any female ages 18 and higher that can prove a lineal descent to a patriot or any person who participated in our freedom. It could have been done by civil service, it could have been by donation, it could have been by food, it could have been by money, it could have been by clothing. Any person who helped contribute to the cause of our independence has access to become a member of the Daughters of the American Revolution. We were formed because there was the Sons of the American Revolution. And back in those days, we all know, women could not join a man's organization. So they encouraged us to start our own, and we did. In addition to that, after that was created, Some years later, and I'm not really sure what the year is to be precise, but that's when the Children of the American Revolution organization was created, because we wanted our future children, the children of our future, to be able to have leadership, citizenship, patriotism, everything that we believe in, we wanted them to learn as well. They want to learn about our history. They want to become part of our future. And I really do appreciate your time. I'm going to turn the time over to Kathy Carpenter.
Thank you, Marcia.
Thank you very much.
Oh, I had a question real quick.
Yes, ma'am.
When you put the wreaths on the headstones, is it any war? Like, is it a veteran of any war that you'll put the wreath on a headstone? Okay,
Yes.
all right, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. You want to use the microphone?
If you can use the microphone, that'd be great, yeah.
I'll have to put it down a little.
Down, yep.
All right, well, thank you for giving me a little bit of time. I'll be relatively brief. I feel kind of like I need to be doing this instead, but anyway.
You can rotate that if you would like.
All right.
You can
well,
rotate the entire
No,
thing.
no.
Our staff
not
will
trying to put
forgive you.
down. All right, thank you. My name is Kathy Carpenter, and I get to be the America 250 chairperson for the Alfred Moore chapter of the Daughters of the American Revolution. And so I get to really work on patriotism. So if you'll click that button for me. So back in 2023, the Daughters of the American Revolution designed this beautiful marker to help our nation think about the contributions of all the Revolutionary War patriots, both men and women of color, that sacrificed many, many things in order to found this great nation. This marker is going to be put across all 50 states of our country. And the purpose is to give people pause to think about the sacrifices that were made by so many during that time period. Yes. And so chapters have begun to look around and thoughtfully search. About a year ago, Marcia and I began that journey of looking across Moore County at many different sites, considering, thinking. And it was in, I think, sometime in the fall that Marcia and I were looking at the pilot and both saw the beautiful town hall that was to be Southern Pines' future. And it just spoke to our hearts. And we thought, that's a place that people are going to pass by. And maybe this will give them time to reflect on what the Revolutionary War, what the people of this county went through in that time period of the Revolutionary War. Okay. So I just want to mention briefly how important this area is and why that marker needs to be there. Broad Street is a street that you may walk up and down every day going shopping, traveling. Well, Broad Street has a history. It used to be the PD Road. Many, many years ago, the PD Road was a buffalo trail, and then it became a wagon road going up and down for immigrants. Also, maybe you go up and down Morganton Road, which is not far. That road was also a buffalo trail. And then when the city of Cross Creek, or the town of Cross Creek, which is now Fayetteville, came into existence, that buffalo trail became a really important thoroughfare, taking immigrants from Cross Creek to the western mountains of North Carolina. Later in our time, it became Morganton Road. Also near here, there's an important trail called the Yadkin Trail. And that trail was part of the Great Wagon Road that brought immigrants down from Virginia and the northern part of the United States into this country in the early days of settlement. So all three of these trails are just pivotal to the history of our country, the history of the Revolution, and we just think that that beautiful site on Broad Street that people would pass by, it would get foot traffic so that people could think about the revolution and take pride in that contribution to American history. So thank you.
Carpenter.
Thank you.
Well, so I think if we can focus our decision on maybe three different pieces. The first of which being, are we okay putting a marker on town property? I mean, that's, again, not going to apply to just by the town hall, but any town property. Would we be willing to put a historic marker anywhere on town property? As Ms. Brower said, setting a precedent that we may or may not want to do. Number two, what is the purpose of that marker? Is it something that the community as a whole can get behind? And then three, is the organization who's asking to donate it relevant to that purpose in a way that makes it, I don't know, a relevant donor, or to have their name on that property or the marker? I mean, maybe we need to make a decision on the first one. Are we okay having a marker on town property? You know, last night I sat here in this room listening to Heather Slade, and Dot Brower brought up that too often people are forgotten in our history. And I think that's something that I know Southern Pines is trying to reconcile. I think the DAR is trying to reconcile. I think our country as a whole is realizing that when we were founded, it was not as the perfect nation that we are striving to be. But I don't think that means we don't recognize the history. As a nation, a 250th birthday, I guess I'm jumping to something later, but I think as a nation, making it 250 years on documents that were written just by people, and written in a way that we've been able to work within them and strive for, I guess, that perfect nation over time. But you know, as we talk about markers on our property, yeah, there could be other organizations that do want to put markers around town or near the town hall. So first, are we okay with it? And then we'll figure out what criteria makes sense. Do you all have thoughts?
I'm happy to go first. First of all, like Ms. Tessie, I am and have been for a long time aware of the DAR. My grandmother in Connecticut, my paternal grandmother in Connecticut was a very proud member of the DAR, and my maternal cousin in Colorado called me a couple decades ago and said, hey, if you want to be in the DAR, I have 6 ways you can get there. So while I appreciate that I have not joined it, I also am going to tell you something that no one on the council knows. But when I was a senior in high school, I did win the scholarship for writing about what the Constitution means today. So, here we go. So, I thank you for your stance, and I've also taught school for 22 years, and I have seen kids who've benefited from your scholarships and the education. I thank you for your stance as far as supporting students. But I also thought back over the last couple weeks about what the Constitution means today. And remember, you taught me this, or you made me first ponder it. And one of the most important things to me about the Constitution is the right to free speech. And I appreciate very much hearing from all my constituents. Most importantly, I appreciate hearing from the ones with whom I do not agree, or I think I don't agree, and talking it out, and not getting into a status where we're polarized. So I appreciate very much that folks from the community have called, or have appeared tonight to express their reservations, and I'll be honest with you, I share some of their reservations. But my bigger concern is the precedent that it would set if we took a plaque from you, and I tell you this with lovingly and appreciatively, if we took a plaque from you, I want everybody here and here to think about the organization that you most detest in the world. And know that we are going to set a precedent, if we accept this from the DAR, that that organization, and I have mine in my mind, which I will not share with you, but if that organization came in and said, we want to put a plaque on the next building, and you let the DAR do it, so you have to let us do it. And I think that there's a real equitable issue there and a precedence that scares me. After we met last time, and after your brilliant presentation, and I thank you for that, and Ms. Carpenter, I really thank you for the history. But after we met last time, it takes me about probably 72 hours to get to where I can figure out what I think. And pondering it, and quite frankly, losing sleep over it, I thought back through plaques in town that already exist, regardless of whether it's the 250th anniversary of the nation or why they might exist. There's one on the administration building, there's one at the police department, there's one at the library. And those plaques are all consistent in that they identify the time that that building was established, they identify who was on the council at that time, and they are all paid for by the town of Southern Pines. They are apolitical. They are a representation of our constituents, whether they be from East or West Southern Pines, whether they have a problem with the stance that your organization takes or not. So I am with tremendous respect for what you do and who you are, I am a hard no as far as having a plaque on a community governmental building that infers that I think everyone who I represent, and clearly it's not true, should adopt the policies that either are currently a part of the DAR or may have been in the past. And what does that say to the person who doesn't have somebody who fought in the Revolutionary War that can't get into it 6 different ways? So with tremendous appreciation and a great fondness for history and a great fondness for the fact that you are all incredibly patriotic and incredibly committed, I think we open Pandora's box if we accept a plaque from an organization, and particularly one that does not represent all the folks in town. And I think the organization that represents all the people in town is us. And I think we have a responsibility as the town of Southern Pines to create our own plaque and hope that you're at our celebration when we celebrate the building. So I'm sorry to sabotage what you're trying to do, or to at least advocate sabotaging what you're trying to do, but I feel pretty strongly about it. It took me a while to get there, and I have tremendous respect for all of you, but I have tremendous respect for all of you and all of you. And if people decide in a way that is different than what I'm advocating, then we're back to the essay I wrote many, many years ago about what the Constitution means today. It means that we all have a right to free speech, and we all have a vote, and I will respect whatever the council decides to do. So thank you all very much, and thank you for understanding, and thank you to those constituents who have raised your concerns and raised your voices. We are as good as our engagement and our community participation. Thanks.
Yeah, I was like, if anybody else has thoughts.
Yeah, I'll go. First of all, thank you all for coming. Thank you for speaking. When this came up last week, first of all, I would tell you that, spending most of my adult life in the military, if I fell off a bike and skinned up my knee, I believed that I would bleed red, white, and blue, so I am a true patriot. And I thought this was going to be a slam dunk for me, and I've wrestled because I've always looked upon them fondly, looked upon you all fondly. Just a couple comments, and I'll leave it at that. I appreciate the concerns that's been raised by the people, by the DAR, and I think it's important we recognize how historical organizations can be perceived differently by members of our community. We have an incredibly diverse community where, in my mind, everyone's important. It's no different than when I served in other organizations. We are only as strong as our weakest link, and we need to give a hand up, not a handout, but give a hand up. That said, groups like Daughters of the American Revolution have long histories that reflect the times in which they were developed. And the history understandably matters to many, many people. So therefore, I don't come to you with my shield and my sword at the ready. Rather, my words will have my sword firmly in its scabbard, and my shield will be open, and please don't send me home upon my shield. As one of the great Spartan warriors would once say. But the DAR, like many longstanding institutions found in the late 19th century, operated much of its early history during a period of segregation. That's American. That is African American. That's white American. That's American, right? That's who we are born from. We're not going to go back and change that. And I appreciate the fact that the DAR does incredible work. So I wanted to make sure that, as a history guy, that I've understood this completely. There's a well-known example in 1939 involving Marian Anderson, a great singer, a great person. She was denied the opportunity to perform at Constitution Hall, and that kind of set things in motion for the Daughters of the American Revolution and their movement forward. I forget which one, I think it was you, ma'am, said you were genealogy, and I looked up Karen Batchelor in 1977, and I looked at, this lady is just brilliant. She's an African-American lady who is a genealogist, and she went and she is what I would say a modern-day warrior in the sense that she was identified that she could actually trace her genealogy back to the American Revolution. And she was incredibly important, and then her and Miss Ferguson, I think are some of the most important people, and I think that's sort of my generation. I don't want to tell you that I'm an 80s kid, but born in 67, I grew up in the 80s, so I have a lot of fondness to what these ladies were trying to do, especially when it comes to the DAR's, or the Daughter of the American Republic's Revolution's racial integration of African American and American Indians. And so I had to ask myself, well, what are we doing today? Because today is really what matters most to all of our constituents. And I think I would call everyone's attention to what Ms. Ferguson began in a series of small sort of books that she handed out that were made under her watch, focused books, very much akin to, if we're going to use an American Revolutionary sort of touch point, Thomas Paine's Common Sense, where he put together a bunch of ideas and he put together a bunch of thoughts on how things should be. Not how things are, but how they should be. Sort of like what Madam Mayor was saying, we're imperfect. We're an imperfect country, but there's no other place we'd rather be. So I understood all of that. A couple of things that I would tell our constituents that as we move forward, the African American and American Indian Patriots series, that conglomerate, that book that's been put together is absolutely phenomenal. And there's also an ability to get it online, and you guys have provided it free, which is fantastic. As an educator, always looking for ways to get information to our kids. One of the things that really interests me, and I ask, is what are we doing today? The Forgotten Patriots. We didn't really talk about the Forgotten Patriots, and the E Pluribus Unum Educational Initiative. I would ask all of us, if we have the time, and we should, that we go back and we look at all that great work. Holy Christmas, that is some wonderful stuff. My view is that the Daughter of the American Revolution is a very patriotic organization. I will tell you that my family cannot be a part of it because the potato famine happened way too late, and by the time we were able to get our stuff in gear, it was the 1900s. It was 1903, 1905. We had our own issues. So, ma'am, and fellow council members, and to all the constituents, it really comes down to what the mayor said. And where I kind of sit is the town hall an appropriate location? And does it represent all the people? And that's really the crux of the matter to me. Is there another place that is allows us to lift up our heritage, understanding that the last 60 years, the Daughters of the American Revolution is a very, very inclusive organization. And it works and it strives. I will tell you, less than 50 years ago, Pinecrest High School was this county was segregated. So in the same span, our high school, where our young men and young women go to school and learn, once sat in different schools. And they're doing wonderful things. Our kids are amazing. And then the other piece is the message right? And what I mean by that is, do we lift up our heritage and our patriotism, or do we lift up the organization? And if we need to look at people, because the world is about people. It's the only way we're going to get through the hard times. If we're going to look at people, we got to look at them with an open heart and a clean mind. And so that's what I wrestle on a daily basis. And that's what I've wrestled for the last 2 weeks. And so I do appreciate you, ma'am, breaking it down into 3 phases, because for me, that made most sense. And I just want to leave with, I think the last 50 to 60 years, the DAR has done incredible things, amazing things and I know the word inclusive these days can, depending on where you hang your ball cap, can be either a good thing or a bad thing. I find it as a good thing, right? 1951, the United States Army integrated, became inclusive. So to me, there's precedent set that when we educate ourselves and we put our hand across the table, the aisle, and we get to actually know and meet people, we can get wonderful things accomplished. So I think there's approaches that we can take to this. I just hope we explore them. It's much more tougher than just saying, let's do this. To me, it's about placement, it's about precedence, and it's about messaging, because we gotta build a community that really cares and trusts each other. And that's really all I wanted to get out. Got off my chest. I feel about 8 pounds lighter.
You put a lot of thought into it. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I guess I'll go next. I feel like I didn't think as deep, or my reaction to what we talked about 2 weeks ago versus now. Trying to reflect on what Taylor said and what came from 2 weeks ago to today. Am I okay with a marker on town property? We didn't hear any presentation about this B, we just heard about the A. And so for me, I heard 2 weeks ago, anything literally on the building was going to be the flag marker. After reflection, I did come to the conclusion that I do think it's a slippery slope. Any marker from any private group that we allow literally on our buildings, it just sets a precedent. I don't think that we want to or need to engage with, regardless of the scope or the group that's doing it. Because if we do it for one, everybody's going to want to do it. That was the only one for me that I heard literally like on the town hall, affiliated with the town hall, to be that part B. I did not hear 2 weeks ago that part A was literally going to be on the town hall. To me, I heard a historical marker celebrating the 250th anniversary. Location was not yet determined. So if I was the only one that took that reaction to 2 weeks ago, maybe I was. To your point, I do think we could find an appropriate location for that. You see those things around town. I know there's one by the Boyd House, I think, the little historical markers. That's what I received that one to be, location to be determined. I do think the 250th anniversary is a neat thing that's worth some celebration. I don't know if y'all get these. I get emails all the time to my town council email from groups all over the nation, like, you need to celebrate the 250th and let us help you. And so do y'all not get those? I don't. Oh my God, I'm the only one. Okay. Like other groups are wanting us to do a celebration. I guess I'm unique.
Yeah. You're delivering the message to us.
And so
Get filters.
yeah, to me, your second question is the purpose of the marker. I think that just celebrating the 250th anniversary of USA is pretty awesome and is okay for the purpose of a marker. So of the two, I'm like, I would be okay with that one. But again, the location is crucial, because again, I don't want to put anything on the town hall to where we're saying this is I don't know, just, I'm not saying it correctly, but I think there might be a correct location for just what I see as a historical celebration marker versus literally putting it on the building. So that's sort of my reaction to your three questions.
Okay, thank you. Deborah, do you have thoughts?
Yeah, I needed to go last because I was the only one speaking last week. I love the council because they just, they listened. No one said anything. And they went home and they considered maybe what I'd said and maybe did a little research. I tend to be emotional. I don't know if it's because I'm a pastor or what. Maybe it's because I'm old. I don't know. It's one of those. I try to be a little bit more practical and pragmatic when I sit in this seat because we don't need emotion. We need practical, intelligent, thoughtful decisions and comments. So I've got to consider the comments from Ms. Taylor and Ms. Brower earlier about the precedent that such a marker would be establishing in our town, especially since we've never had a centralized town hall before. This is major. And last week, well, not last week, but 2 weeks ago, of course, at our work session, my original thought was, okay, historically, I don't know if this is good, but I'm just thinking about the precedent it's going to leave, and I kind of listening to Councilman Pate as well as Councilwoman Peterson. I don't think we want to have a marker from a private organization on the town hall. I don't, and I'm grateful in some ways because of the DAR coming and wanting to present this because it's forced now a conversation, and maybe it's long overdue. You know, I think the Daughters of the American Revolution are intentionally working to change history, but there is a community of people who've not felt that. And maybe because of you coming forward and wanting to do this marker, maybe it will allow for some conversation and discussion. Long overdue, 2026, man, should have had this long time ago, but can't do anything about that now. I'm grateful for the, I don't know if it was a forum last night or what.
It was a presentation about the wrapping up of the underrepresented community study.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. And I asked the town to forgive me right now because I was busy in my thesis, but I finished it at 3:17 this morning. So I cut off everything to just get that done. But I'm hoping that possibly with communication with Ms. Taylor as well as Ms. Brower, there are other members of the community that are here. I'm so glad that you all came out. Maybe you can have a conversation. Maybe there is another spot that's a possibility for this marker. We're grateful that you came forward to bring this. Maybe just not the town hall, so.
I just want to clarify, since from both Bill and Deborah and maybe from Ann, forgive me, I didn't write down exactly what you said. We keep saying on the building. If it is standalone, is it the same sentiment?
Yeah.
Okay,
for me, it's
on
the same
property.
sentiment, yeah.
Okay. Are we setting a precedent if we do not allow markers on town property to where another organization is going to come forward and say that they want something? Because it was discussed last night that there's going to be another one. Yeah.
Ask your question again. Are we setting a precedent by denying?
Yep. No, that's fine. So if we are not okay with it, we're not okay with it. I just want to make sure that sometimes it's the fear of setting a precedent one way. You forget that there's both sides of it. I believe the conversation was it doesn't necessarily set a precedent as long as it was clear. But it sounds like it's also on town property doesn't make sense. As I told Marcia when we spoke, right, there you go. I look up and my vision has to go from really close to really far. That's where my eyes work. As I told you on the phone last week, our council, it does not have to be a unanimous vote. I mean, we work by majority. But this was one of those things that as a town hall, I wanted it to be a unanimous vote if it was going to happen. And it sounds like it wouldn't be a majority, and it may not be, it's not going to be unanimous, and may not be a majority. So I want to say thank you guys. Thank you for the consideration. Thank you for all of the work you do in our community, from the things that you showed us tonight to the few events that I've been to with the Daughters of the American Revolution. It's so important that as Americans, our history, as all people in any country and any citizen, your history is such an important part of who you are. And I think you guys are doing a good job in preserving that. It sounds like the town hall is not the right place for the marker. If you all would like me to take an official vote, we can. But my guess is that it's going to be,
I think we should take an official vote for the sake of the minutes
Okay.
and track what the considerations have been, which I bet the amazing Beth has already done. But I think that's important that we do that.
And I guess with the decision, because as I mentioned, I think on the literal building is probably not appropriate, but for this or moving forward, as you mentioned, as you asked, a purpose of a marker and the organization in combination, as you mentioned, the location, it may be a different answer. On literally the building, I think it's probably definitely, I don't think any of us are in agreement to that. I think it may be a case by case with purpose, location, and what you're doing into the future, because there's areas around town that may be public that the location would make perfect sense to where it's not putting it literally on one of our facilities, especially the town hall, especially that one, but, so.
I copy that. And I also think if there was an initial meeting here someplace on Pennsylvania, and if people come up with where that was, and they come back with a freestanding plaque to identify where the original meeting took place, that would be something that would be a completely different conversation.
Yeah, I think that speaks to the history.
The value of history.
It does speak to the organization, and not to speak ill of the organization, but I think what we really want to highlight is our history, our
Right.
people,
Right.
our community. And that's why, for me, that was the game changer. I want to highlight our history, even Moore County's history, our community and our people. So we got to focus on not the organization, on the message.
Exactly.
And everybody that walks by that's got to be able to say, that's me. That's my grandfather, great-grandfather, whatever. And so if we look to put this somewhere else, I would ask that, we make sure the messaging is so important. And there are other great examples. I wrote down about 7 of them in my studies where the DAR did some really good things with markers and speaking to the history. And I was really excited about all that, to be honest with you. That's what makes it really tough, because at the end of the day, it's about all of our people. We got to be so inclusive, and I say that with all reverence toward you all and toward each and every kid that's going to come up and, where his mom, dad, grandma, grandpa is going to raise him, says, yeah, this is where I grew up. I'm excited to come back here. I'm from Southern Pines. Boom. And so when we do move it, ma'am, my recommendation was that we all get together long in advance and we focus on the message, and because the DAR does some great things for us.
okay, but honoring the veterans who served in the American Revolution is not a message that you're good on.
Didn't say anything about the veterans of,
Okay, maybe we should read the plaque.
I was trying to
Okay.
get back a little
I was like,
earlier,
because my understanding was it was about the people who served in the American Revolution.
And I jumped ahead to B, because all the conversations B was part B, not this one.
Yeah, and then let's clarify,
Yeah, it says,
If they could zoom in so I can see it.
The next slide looks at placement and definitely not on the building.
not on the
Okay.
building. Okay.
When I spoke, I'm sorry, when I spoke, and I'm grateful, let me just say, just as an FYI, had conversation with Ms. Jacobs, fantastic conversation with her. We were good, we were good. But I did mention to her, if the plaque would be a little bit more detailed in terms of the specifics of what you, Ms. Carpenter, discovered in terms of the soldiers who were passing through that area, that's general.
right.
I mean, I'm just being real. That's general. If we saw something in the plaque that said, you know, we believe this many soldiers were passing through from Cumberland County on their way to South Carolina, and this was the trek, this was the path that they were on. That specific history, that would be different. I mean, and I don't have a problem with those words, but it would give more license to why it needs to be in that particular vicinity, which happens to be where the town hall is. But that's not specific. That plaque could be anywhere. I mean, I know it can't be, because I know you have to have legitimate historical connection to the location, the geographic location. I understand that, but anyway.
I guess that's when we first talked, it was, yeah, the discussion on like having a QR code or something so that you're building history behind Southern Pines, not just a marker, was something that we had talked about. Yeah.
The next slide,
Sure.
that I didn't show. I believe there's one more that shows the building.
Hey, BJ, will you go to the slide that shows the building?
The very last one, yes. Here, Kathy.
So, we were not wanting to place it on the building, but somewhere around the building. And we were indefinite because we were still in discussions about where would be the best placement around the building. The picture on the bottom right is, I took it from the pilot, I hope they don't mind, but there's work going on around the side of the building on Broad Street, and Taylor and
Jessica.
had mentioned that there's a possibility of a courtyard and seating, and we were wondering, nothing set in stone, but wondering if that courtyard where people would come off the street, resting in the lovely shade that's going to be around there, that placement would be a place that sign could be, and could be a point of reflection, emphasizing the service of all who contributed to the founding of our nation. And it's not about the DAR. The DAR designed the plaque, and, the Alfred Moore chapter is paying for the plaque and the installation, but it's about the message there.
I guess that's where when I fall on the positive side of this, it's the message.
Madam Mayor.
I don't.
If the ladies are allowed to elaborate more on their stance, can we not do the same?
So it is normally, yes, normally action items would not be.
Excuse me?
Please allow me to talk before you, okay. I sit through plenty of meetings where I get interrupted and I will shut my mouth, but as soon as I interrupt somebody, I definitely get some mean looks. If you would like to speak, it is normally not allowed. I will allow us to break precedent and let you speak. This is not supposed to be a for and against, and I hate that it's turned into that. But yes, you're absolutely, if you would like to speak after Marcia sits down. Okay.
Can I borrow the clicker, please? No, I'm just gonna make an adjustment here. Yeah, I'm gonna go backwards. Okay. I would just like to make a clarification when it comes to this marker. This marker was specifically created by the National Society of Daughters of the American Revolution. The only change that can be done to this particular marker is that where it would say presented by, it's going to be presented by the Alfredmore chapter. Okay, that's the only change. It is basically, for lack of a better term, set in stone. What Ms. Gray is referring to, and also Mr. Curtin and others, when it comes to having a historical marker, there's a different type of a marker. You know, when we're talking about Mrs. Whitaker's house, you know, and having one, you know, this is where the DAR organized on September the 24th, you know, blah, 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 you know, 1924. That is a completely different situation, and that's something we can definitely check into. But when it comes to this particular marker that we want to present as a gift to the town of Southern Pines, that recognizes the efforts of everybody who participated for the founding of our country, that's what this marker represents. So I just wanted to make sure that you understood, and it's freestanding. It's not going to be attached to the wall or on, you know, whether it's the seated wall or anything on the building. It's actually going to be freestanding. What was perceived as possibly the courtyard, that was a suggestion that was made. So, and just like Ms. Kathy mentioned, we're the ones that are going to be sponsoring it, and sponsoring the marker, the installation, and the pole. Is there a question that I may answer?
No, I don't think so.
Okay,
Thank you. Ms. Brower, would you like to add another comment?
It is not a for or against. It's the message. Our freedom was not achieved in the Revolutionary War. I would not be proud or want anyone that I know and love to come to my town and see this on public property, that our freedom was achieved in the Revolutionary War. No, that is not the case. And it is not history. It's not real history, and it's not true history. This is something that perhaps had it been vetted. We have an American Legion post. I'm an auxiliary member. We have historical West Southern Pines School. We have a cemetery, Woodlawn Cemetery, maybe 200 veterans buried there. Have not seen any evidence that the DAR has supported us on any level, national level or whatsoever. So, and I applaud the effort. I applaud, but my freedom and the freedom of my ancestors, except maybe the ones who were from Europe, was not achieved during the Revolutionary War.
Thank you, Ms. Brower. Are there other thoughts from the council? Knowing that it's not on the building, it's a standalone, it's a donation to the town, and not, it's, yeah.
Shall we take a vote
Not the
on whether or
message.
not it would be on the building so we have a clear response to that, to your first question as you broke it out?
The first question was, is it okay on our property?
Right.
Yeah.
So I would like, well, I don't really want to make a motion. I would like to make a motion. Go ahead. You have it?
No, I mean, I don't think we need to vote on all three independently. I think we can use them as criteria in a discussion, and then we can make a vote. And I think even with the different perspectives from our public and from the people at this dais, I feel like this has been one of the most rich conversations we've even had as a council, speaking from different perspectives and all being heard. Yeah, so I think
I agree.
I'm happy to go through the points.
And I think we should vote on the proposal for or against, and then if there is to be another proposal, then the DAR or whoever wants to can come back to us with that proposal. I think I don't want to muddy the waters, but I think as far as this proposal goes, as it stands,
Okay, so.
I think that you have,
So on the donation of a commemorative plaque at Town Hall.
right?
Is that what you'd like to vote on?
I mean, you had combined the two, A and B.
Yeah, and I think it sounds like, I was getting the impression from the council that they were not interested in 2. And it sounds like the 250th is what the DAR feels more passionate about.
Okay. But I think
We can-
this is what's on our agenda. This is what constituents have been given notice of.
Okay.
I think we vote on that, and then if there's an additional conversation, that's great. If they want to come back with another proposal for a standalone marker in the courtyard or not in the courtyard, or on public property or not on public, those are all issues that can be ironed out later. But I don't think that we just say, well, that's not working, but let's think about maybe
No,
something that might. So I think we vote on that.
You would like to vote, I think that's what they presented. It's not the plaque on the building. So the second one is a exterior, like a plaque for the exterior of Town Hall.
But I mean,
And that's what they're saying is not what they're presenting, but a plaque on Town Hall property. So is that what you
Well-
want to vote on?
to me, that's what's crucial is the location. I think, well, I think oh,
Yes, ma'am. No, that's okay.
I have A as a letter of support for a marker, and B for donation of a flag.
Oh, yeah.
A marker
the
to
flag has
recognize
a-
the donation. It's 2 plaques, or
Okay,
2,
right.
yeah, not necessarily on the building, but it is 2 markers.
Correct.
So on item B, it does say plaque for the exterior of Town Hall. So on the building. All right, so it sounds like that's an easy one. So why don't we go ahead and vote on that?
which one?
How do you feel about, would you like separate
Yes, so
votes?
she needs-
Do you mind if we do B and then A? Okay.
And just, I'll just say, I don't have enough information on A because I feel like the location of any plaque is important. Even standalone, I do feel like the town hall property is a little bit, I think anywhere on there, even standalone, probably again, similar to it being on the building, similar. But if there's a location not on that property, somewhere else in town that may be appropriate for the purpose of a marker, I don't know that I'm willing to say tonight, no markers ever on any public property, standalone or not. And I'm not ready to make that decision, but as far as the plaques on and in and on town hall proper, I'm okay with that decision if that's what we're voting on.
Okay,
If that makes sense.
yeah.
Because whereas B said exterior of town hall, A never specifically said the location. So I feel like
Just
that was
at.
incomplete enough for me to make a yes or no on.
Okay. So is there a motion for B? For a donation of a flag and a plaque on the exterior of Town Hall?
I think, and this may be a Matt question, but I think one has to be in favor of B in order to make the motion.
No, we can
No.
make a motion to not
Help
accept.
me state a motion.
To deny the offer.
So I move to deny accepting the flag donation from DAR for the town and authorizing a placement of a corresponding marker under action items 7B.
Even though, okay, that's all right. We voted to combine the agenda items, so
Well, I think it's okay because Beth is saying she needs
you
it.
still want it two separate motions, that's fine.
Right.
Okay, so clarifying, it, yeah, formerly was B.
So yeah, with that motion on the floor, I second that.
All right. All in favor of the denial of that flag?
Aye.
Aye. All right, any in favor? Motion carries. So there is no flag and no plaque on the town hall.
Additionally, I move to deny the authorizing letter of support for an American 250 Patriots marker to be placed at the town hall, a commemorative plaque at the town hall, under action item 7A.
Is there a second?
I second.
All right, before we vote, I guess I will state this for the public. In the 250 years that we have been a country, there are very few things that we can all get behind. And I think it would be a shame that we can't all get behind the fact that we are a country. I attend events for all different organizations in this community, some of which I can feel like a part of and some of which I can't. But I still attend them and I still support them. And I'll go ahead and tell you, even though I want to support, the people from the public who spoke against this for your personal reasons, and my council members who spoke against it for reasons that I think, some of which I agree with and some of which I don't. I personally feel like I think it's something that I don't think we're going to find another time or another event that, as Americans, we probably should all be able to say we agree with, but I will hold the vote. A vote in favor means that you do not want it, and a vote against means you're okay with it. So all those in favor?
That's
So,
right.
yeah, no,
Aye. It's a dyslexic motion here
Yeah.
because it's a motion to
The
deny.
motion was
so
to deny,
I'm in
yes.
favor of, yes, aye.
I'll say no.
Okay, and I will say that I am supportive of it, but working with my council, I think it's important that it's unanimous, and I will go ahead and agree with them to deny it. Thank you guys for your presentation. Thank you for your support.
Did you really say no?
Again, I'm okay with the 250th, but with the location not being, I feel like I was voting on an incomplete motion.
Okay.
We talked about purpose of the marker.
Right.
I think the purpose of the 250
So
is,
just so Beth isn't awake at 2 o'clock in the morning trying to figure out what it,
that's fine.
okay, all right, thanks. That's,
Changing my vote to against because I think it's important that it's unanimous.
so, okay.
Well, I'm changing my vote for
So it's 5-0.
because it's,
So it's nay. It was nay for the motion, right?
yeah. Yeah, so it's
Three to
for
two.
the motion, which is against the plaque, because I think it's important that it's unanimous when it comes to the town hall.
Mayor, if I could, since I'm glad you made that comment before we took the vote. I need to say something. Ms. Brower, thank you for saying something so obvious and so real, something that people like myself a lot of times look over, that no, we were not free in 1776. And we were not free, well, that's another whole history story. But thank you for saying that, and thank you, council, for being a great council. Thank you for your comment, Madam Mayor, so.
Okay. Thank
I
you,
would,
guys.
I would suggest a quick break, even though it's a short agenda. I'd love to have a quick break
Okay,
before.
let's come back at
Everybody-
7:30.
Yeah.
We'll recess
Let
until
everybody
then.
have a quick break. Thanks.
Can I have one of your candles? It was. See, I was, you know what I read? I read that Lisa has changed it and they're not using red color. Members of the police families, they're not happy about that. Okay, so it was Gerald Hines, Hines Development, based in Houston, considered one of the largest private, considered one of the largest private real estate development companies in the world. Up there with the Pro and
February 24th.
Well, it was 2 years ago, and it was very entrepreneurial. And the two partners. That it was we rezoned as kids, that they were partners. Instead it became
ask me about it, it's sort of like put on the spot to sort of dissect it. This one, this one, this one. So what did that mean? Is down to like,
Anyway, it's good to see you. Because I was.
Mickey, did you?
Yes. Yeah.
What was the specific thing that she told you? Between permanent issues and yeah, that's another thing. Is like, you want multi-family or you want two-family? Right.
So I asked every time and all of them came back with, what do you mean?
Right. And that doesn't surprise me, because we live in a world where like things very much like I was describing. Like, okay, are you talking about title development? Are you talking about zone development? Actually, title development? Are you talking about flat lots? Are you talking about building permits? Are you talking about? And, you know, unfortunately, to the outside world, it's like,
But it does not include everything that
like if I came to you and said, can you, like, say I was really interested in, like, how many times does growth development show up? I came to you and I said, can you give me everything in the paper about growth development from last year? And you'd be like, well, do you want stories? Do you want stories? Do you want advertising? Do you want, I just want to know how many times the newspaper refers to growth development. And you're just like, you'll be like, no. I have no idea.
Okay, good to know.
No, he doesn't talk to me. He does, but he has this, like, he always works out so much. And so, like, you can never take him out for lunch. You can never, like, get him to work. And so he's just like, that's fine, that's his deal. But that's, like, all the other, like, Aaron and myself, we're always like, oh, nobody knows who Alex is, you know?
well, I said a follow-up being like, I apologize, this is probably very confusing. He said, yes, it is. How can I help you?
Help me help you. And then, of course, once I start, like, digging into the weeds, well, here's this part.
I was about to call for a vote.
Stop. I don't care.
He offered me this, and I was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Can you just give me this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally, absolutely. How are you? Content, good. You're good. Get your lot taken care of over there.
Which one? The one
The one that Ron put the trees down on.
it took me so long.
Yeah. Before 1978. I'll probably miss the box. I'll probably trust.
Did you recognize?
You know, we're still working on it.
I saw those guys put up the U-Haul trucks and they farm it. It's not a used lot over there, just under zone. Same thing. Sell it.
Where they had them posted, that was part of our land.
I thought of you immediately. I was like, no, I thought of you immediately and sent our book out there. Like, again, all of our U-Hauls, just the same thing.
Yes, he said he intentionally took that one. That's me. That's Jessica. That's BJ. That's my camera.
I said, when you pick it up.
And that's great. Which is my favorite. Yeah. I was like, that doesn't look like that. This is actually from the fire department, the access system from Ohio.
You're talking to Ron?
No,
No, who are you talking to now?
I just don't know.
This is Lisa and Lady. This is another one.
You pick up like garbage?
No, well, you know, it's not garbage.
This is terrible.
Good. Kit Kats. There you go. No, no, are you kidding me? Not-
Do I have to be chivalrous and give you the last?
No. Yes, it's all right. We are running behind, but I'll tell you, we're trying to run on that clock to make up for it. All right. I have to clarify because we had just a miscommunication on the vote on the American 250th Patriots marker. If you are against the marker, which is the way that the motion was made, will you just clarify that you are against the marker?
I was against the marker.
Okay,
I was against the marker.
And I was.
okay. Bill was for the marker. And I originally was for the marker and was going to change to be unanimous. Being that my change will not make it unanimous, I will go ahead and stay with the marker. Does that work? Four.
Be 3-2.
Yeah.
3-2.
Yeah.
3-2.
Okay, thank you, Beth. Thank you for checking, though, because as we held that vote, I thought it was clear, and clearly it wasn't, so. Okay. All right, moving
Before you move
on.
on, can I just say one thing?
Yeah, of course.
Please, ma'am?
Yep.
And shush me anytime you want. I think that I'm for this one's worded really difficult for me because I'm for the marker. I'm for recognizing 250 years of great history. It was also tied with the town hall again. So if they came back and said, hey, would we move it, 10 meters off, 15 meters here, same thing, I could get behind that. It was that location. And I just wanted to be clear because I didn't want to send mixed messages to fellow council members but I wanted to vote consistent with A and B because they're both tied to our town hall.
Yeah.
And that's my driving force. I wanted to be consistent.
Okay.
Especially, and I don't know if the folks in West Southern Pines and other people down where I live are trying to put a marker in, understand that they're going to be held to the same standard that the DAR is. And we're going to be just as vigilant on doing our history. So, thank you, ma'am. I appreciate the time.
Thank you.
Yes, I have copious notes on everyone's thoughts. I will repeat what I said earlier, which I feel like this was a debate rich in perspective and respect, and I appreciate everyone's contribution and time spent in consideration. All right, unless there is anything further, let's move on to action item C, AR-02-26, the Trimble Plant Road Architectural Compliance Permit. Back to normal business.
Good evening, members of council.
Good evening, Director Grieve.
We're really looking to be entertained tonight, too, so.
At this point, I tell you what, at this point, sit back, relax. I'm going to regale you with the story of an architectural compliance permit for an existing structure off of Trimble Plant Road. So let's go back in time for a moment. You may recall, not long ago, in fact, it was December of last year, the property we're talking about here this evening, which is a large 232,000 square foot building that exists on the left or west side of Trimble Plant Road, as you're going down that road. For reference, here is Yadkin Road, here's Trimble Plant Road, here is the American Whiskey Company. So you go a little bit further down this road, there's a very large building there that from the air looks like this. Okay, so at the end of that road, this is an existing mixed-use building. There's a variety of things taking place in here. It was prior to review of the plan development that took place at the end of last year. It had been zoned industrial, and some of the uses inside of it, such as a health clinic, are not allowed in the industrial zone. And so they came in, and what they wanted to do was, first of all, they wanted to do some improvements to this building, to put some additional units within this building, and to allow for some additional uses that were not allowed in industrial. They also wanted to build a new building out here, which was called a shallow bay flex space building. So in order to do that, they had to rezone to plan development. They did that. The zoning, the CDP, was reviewed and approved. And in that CDP, they acknowledged that they were going to do some improvements to this portion of the building. So take out the blue portions, just to this portion of the building. And those improvements were not going to be consistent with our architectural code because it's presently brick, but they wanted to improve it so that it would not be brick. And so they put that in their plan development. They also put in their plan development that the standard for roof lines, that if you have more than 100 feet of a roof line, it has to be segmented. They said they may not meet that standard. So this was written into the plan development. It was reviewed and approved, water under the bridge. Okay? It's in the document. But after this was adopted, they do need to go through an architectural compliance permit, not for this building that's proposed to be built new out here because that's industrial, but for this building because these land uses are commercial. In commercial, the architectural compliance permit applies. Finally, when they applied for the architectural compliance permit, 2 of the 10 standards they don't comply with, which they told us they weren't going to comply with back in plan development, that got approved. You with me? But because the building is greater than 25,000 square feet, the town council has to review it. All right, so here we are. That brown portion of the building you see right there that is currently wrapped in brick. It will be wrapped primarily in what's called EIFS, which is Exterior Insulation Finishing System. It is a way of wrapping a building in a very efficient product that functions as both exterior as well as insulation. This EIFS is not compliant with our building materials requirement. Normally, we would bring before you a request for a commercial architectural compliance permit that requests to go to EIFS, and we would say no, because it's new construction or it's visible from a road. This is very different. Not only does their PD say they can do it, but this structure is not visible from the highway or from anywhere else, and it's consistent with, again, it's consistent with the plan development. So number one, they are requesting, as part of this architectural compliance permit, a deviation from the building materials requirement to go to this EIFS exterior. The percentages of EIFS, as well as, I think, stucco, are in the packet. They're in staff's report, the breakdown on this. And finally, they are increasing compliance with our standard on this side of the building. This side of the building is roughly 300 feet long. And this 300 feet right now is just one flat roof line. They will be adding this right here, which will break up that roof line and make this, therefore, more compliant. But this side of the building will not have the roof line broken up. It doesn't have the roof line broken up right now, so it's simply staying, you might say, non-compliant. But since they are changing the exterior of materials, it is a portion of the building being modified, therefore it requires a deviation to allow that to be that way. Once again, I keep stressing this, that's consistent with what they said they're going to do in the plan development when they rezoned it. So there's nothing unusual here. Staff is okay with this because of the way the plan development went through review, because of the nature of the proposed development. It was all previously contemplated. It's before you. These slides were prepared by a member of our team for whom I'm presenting tonight, and so I appreciate him doing that for me so I could present these. Again, it's because it's more than 25,000 square feet. The deviations requested are building materials as well as the segmentation of the roof line.
Can you back up one slide, please? Okay. Development standard exceeds. It falls under large-scale retail development standards in UDO 4.10.6. Alternative development. Okay. So they are specifically limited to large retail and service buildings, correct?
They are limited to what's approved in their conceptual development plan, their plan development zoning, which in this case is the uses that are listed in that CDP.
Right. Okay.
No, I think so. I think Ms. Peterson's question is a valid one. So maybe as you get through the presentation, as you wrap up, since what we are considering is if they're meeting their CDP, if you could specifically go through wherever you feel like they are not, but get through your presentation first, and then I'll
Just
ask you
these two
that.
things. All that they're not meeting, excuse me, they are meeting their CDP entirely.
Okay,
They are compliant with their zoning 100%.
and that's what we're considering is if they're compliant with their own zoning.
But they don't comply with 4.10.4 architectural standards in regard to building materials and in regard to the roof line segmentation. So because they don't meet those, our architectural compliance permits are required for review when you don't meet those standards. But they do meet their zoning, their unique zoning. So it's in many ways, it's just sort of a step. We have to come here because the building is greater than 25,000 square feet. They do need an architectural compliance permit to modify it, but they're modifying it in a way that is consistent with their unique plan development, just not consistent with the criteria for an architectural compliance permit.
Can I ask,
Mind, this is an architectural review. It could be easy to confuse this and think of it as a PDP, which would be a quasi-judicial type of hearing. This is purely the architecture for the existing
Right.
structure there.
go ahead.
I was going to say, based on the elevations or renderings, sometimes a long brick wall with nothing on it, it just doesn't give a good view. So even though they haven't segmented the roof, I think that what they've done on that one side breaks it up a little bit more than what it currently was.
Is the basis for why back when they were doing the CDP, the zoning, and they showed these renderings, staff supported that because ultimately, yes, a monotonous brick wall, we've had that conversation many times about just because something is entirely brick doesn't always mean that it's the best design, which is why we work with applicants very much to break up the brick in consistency with those standards under normal circumstances. So, yeah.
Just a quick question. Why are they not meeting, what is driving them to not meet the architectural standard that they need a exception to policy for?
So,
Because I've been through part of this, but like the last 2 months ago, I was in that, but when it originally came through a long time ago, I wasn't on council, so
that's a great question. So going back to the CDP or the rezoning.
thank you.
Why was it, for example, that they showed EFS as a building material back then rather than, yes, we're brick, but we're going to improve it with brick? I think I'd ask the applicant to speak to that, why that was requested at that time to be approved in the plan development. But at this time, in terms of an architectural compliance permit, that matter is resolved in our minds, so.
It's resolved, but we're asking for an exception. What are we asking for then? If it's been resolved?
Yeah, so an architectural compliance permit is a requirement of our Unified Development Ordinance. The zoning requires that you get an architectural compliance permit.
Right.
An architectural compliance permit, according to the UDO, is reviewed for compliance with our commercial design requirements. 2 of those, in this case, building materials and roof lines, this structure doesn't comply. But we're not going to come in here and say it doesn't comply, therefore it should be denied because it doesn't comply with those standards, but they wrote a plan development that writes unique zoning for them, and they do comply with that. So we're saying it complies with the zoning, it just doesn't comply with the baseline architectural standards for commercial structures.
Do we have a legal leg to stand on to even ask them to comply to standards that we've already told them that we'll give them exceptions to?
I don't want to say I certainly don't want to make a judgment call about a legal leg,
Yeah.
but this is why staff is recommending
Yeah,
approval of this
okay.
and why we did our review and the applicant was cooperative in terms of getting us the percentages and all that is because we don't have much in the way of, they're compliant with their plan development.
Yeah.
So if this was less than 25,000 square feet, we would have taken care of this administratively. But because the structure is greater than 25,000 feet, and you remember a while back we amended the code about the size of buildings that you would like to see, then this one, because it's just a big structure, it has to come here for this checkbox.
For my clarity. So once upon a time, a council approved them to continue marching, knowing that they were not going to meet the architectural design
That's
standards.
correct.
Okay.
The architectural design that they're not complying with, basically one of articulation as far as the building goes.
One of them is the roof line standard.
Right, the roof line and the articulation. And
Yeah.
I think that we considered that, and it was also in such an industrial area. And I think we are, well, anyway, Reagan's talking about it now, but I think we're the ones who approved that. I think this council are the ones who
Yeah.
approved that, and based on the neighborhood it was in and the fact that articulation of a building front didn't matter as much as it might, or roof lines didn't matter as much as it might in an area, I mean, this is back where this, where the Moore County Clinic is, and also where the drive-in really cool storage place is, let's be honest.
Yeah, I agree with you, ma'am. This is an eyesore. I'm all for it. I do recall, I was sitting back there when I
Listen,
first
yeah.
ever heard the term tree porn. I was in the
Right.
audience, so.
Right.
I'm tracking like a blue tick hound. I just was curious how we got to this point, so I'm all in. I'm good.
Okay.
But I just needed to,
Well-
to understand that. But I almost spit out my water when I heard that term back in, I think it was August or September.
Okay, well, don't take a drink right now because I'm about to make you want to spit out your water again.
Quick. The, oh. go
Yeah,
ahead.
you're going to all regret that I didn't ask Mac this question, but I'm going to go ahead and ask it. I am really concerned with in the political arena of late, where warehousing people has become a thing. I am concerned that we do not inadvertently approve something that could be used as a warehouse/internment camp for people who are picked up by ICE, and I want to make sure that we're protected against that. I do not want to unknowingly approve, even if it means that we make it a condition that that not be used for that purpose.
Yeah, I want to clarify, this is an architectural review.
I understand.
I just don't know that
And
there's a
that
place we
news was
can.
not news when we first went through it. So I guess my question is, at this point, as that becomes a reality in the nation, is there any way to address that concern?
I don't think
Architecture review.
this is zoned for a residential use, is it, in any way?
Not industrial.
No.
It is restricted to retail.
It would need to be an institutional use, correct? It's not.
Okay, I don't ever want to let that pass by without me noticing that that's passed by. So thank you.
Well, it's not this one.
Okay, great. Are you telling me there's another one I should pay attention to? Thank you, I appreciate it. I'm sorry I was tied in a knot over that, so thank you.
Go ahead, BJ. Mine is a little small question. I was just wondering, you mentioned EIFS. You said that's the name of that type of material that they're using with. Is it like stucco? I'm looking in the notes.
The exterior, the actual exterior, the visible portion of EIFS can actually be oriented a number of ways. It can look like stucco, it can look like a variety of other things, it can be treated in a number of ways. But EIFS is, again, that exterior insulation. It's basically insulation and exterior in one. Therefore, it's a more efficient use. You see a lot of commercial structures today want to do it because it's the cheapest, best exterior you can make of a commercial structure, and the outside of it can be painted, it can be treated with texturing, it's very versatile as well. It's also not, for as an aside, as a moment that we can talk about, it's also not very Southern Pinesy in terms of our historic appearance. But this existing building, going back to when it went through rezoning and to Councilwoman Peterson's point, yes, it was looked at as this is an existing building, it has a certain look, they're going to fix up the exterior, and so this was a unique circumstance, yeah.
Okay. Thank you for allowing us to get through some questions.
Hey, that's why I'm here.
Yeah, if you want to get through the remaining portion of your presentation,
That's all I have
that's
to
it.
say. I was trying to keep it brief, but relaxing.
No, you did a great job.
And the applicant is here, if you have any questions for the applicant. But yeah, as staff is recommending approval, based on all the reasons we just explained, and there is a template motion in there teed up for your consideration.
Okay, why don't we go ahead and if there are questions for staff, we'll go through those and then we'll have the applicant come up for other questions. Are there any questions for staff? Okay, seeing none. Thank you, Director Grieve. Are there questions for the applicant?
No, I don't
No?
have one.
Point, but we might not have any questions.
I mean, this is where we're doing our job as a bureaucracy. We have approved a plan, and we've now brought you before us to make sure that you comply with a plan that you presented to us, which you do. And so we've now had staff present that we're checking the boxes, and so I guess this is our job to make a motion at this point.
Yeah, Paul states off with E3.
Thank you.
Yeah, I remember previously that we had talked about the roof line and the visibility from US 1, and I did drive out that way, and it looks like you are absolutely correct. That's going to be a pretty much of a non-issue from US 1 as far as the barrier there. Do you agree with your previous assertion that that isn't?
Yeah, I do. Sits pretty far back.
I thought that was the other building, not this one.
Oh, maybe
That
so.
where we had that discussion. The new building.
A standalone.
And the existing trees and how far back the current building is. And yeah, I think visibility is going to be very minimal into the site from Highway 1.
Great. Well, Councilman Pate has kiboshed my question anyway, so kudos to him. And
The building. If we have no questions, I'll make a motion to approve AR 02-26 as set forth in the building elevations dated February 16th, 2026, with the 2 deviations to the building materials as specifically described in the March 10th, 2026 staff report.
In that.
In favor, vote by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Satoff. All right, and now we have a request to abandon the town right-of-way, and we're setting a public hearing date. Do we have any more information on this, or just setting the public hearing date?
Just setting the public hearing date.
Okay.
Make a presentation at the time.
Okay.
this is something I'm getting some phone calls about. I don't know if anybody else is, but this is a question that I'm getting, questions about. And I wondered if people might consider continuing it not just until April, but until May, the May date, to give some time. I'm going to be not available for about 3 weeks, the next few weeks. I just want to be able to respond to questions from constituents, and if there are concerns that are legitimate or that I think need to be voiced, I'd like to do that, and I'm about to have surgery and be out of pocket for a bit.
Okay. Yeah, I think so. If we set this public hearing date sooner, we can actually hear from the public.
I'd love for it to be when I'm coherent, so I'd love to set it for May.
When are you going in? So you'll be out, our next meeting is what you're saying is when you'll be out? more
No, I'll
likely?
be here, but I'm not going to promise a whole lot of coherency.
Yes, ma'am.
Right, thank you. So I would propose that it be the May date, which is continue the hearing until May. Pardon me? Oh, I don't know that I have. May 12th? I make a motion that we set it on for hearing May 12th, 2026.
Do we know anything about the applicant, or if they have a timeline that this needs to be done by? Okay. And you guys are not the Gaddis family? Okay.
Oh, I thought you were. Yeah.
Okay.
That's interesting.
I mean, I think we have a responsibility to hear things in a reasonable amount of time. I don't see that delaying it for an extra month is unreasonable. If we can just let the applicant know the reason for our postponement until May 12th, I think that would be okay. As long as that is okay with council.
I'm good with it.
All right.
So there's a motion hanging, right? I made a motion that we continue.
I second.
Favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
Okay. You're in favor.
Marty, but her dissertation is done.
Bob jumped in. I second. I'm like,
At least once every,
All right, but you're
Board
in favor
meeting.
of the motion to May 12th. I'm just making sure, like, we've gotten some muddied up votes today. Okay. All right, cool.
5-0.
All right, so it sounds like it was unanimous in favor of moving or setting that public hearing date until May 12th. If we can just communicate back with the owners, that would be very much appreciated. All right, we have nothing else on our agenda, and we have no other time for public comment at the end of our meeting. I mean, written on here, but we do have a policy that if we have public comment that we did not have time for at the beginning, we can make time. Do you all have something that you would like to say? Of course. Oh, good. Okay. All right, then we'll stick around.
Welcome.
Sure, yeah.
So glad that you're here.
We'll make sure we stick around and introduce ourselves afterwards.
Definitely.
Before we adjourn, I just wanted to say one thing that came to mind for me. We can discuss it further at a work session. BJ presented the battle coin idea, and I thought it was really, really neat. He gave each of us 2 and asked us to try to find or locate somebody that embodied that for Southern Pines. I think it would be kind of cool if we invited the 5 individuals that each of us individually want to recognize with that and recognize them at a meeting And so we could tell their story and why we thought they were worthy of the coin from us. So
Great idea.
at some point, I would like us to do that. So
What a great idea.
that's my idea.
You know what I would recommend is, because we may, the donation of the, like the giving of those coins can be spread out. If you give your coin and want to just give us notice,
I
we'll
like
tie it in
that.
at that meeting, so we don't have to do all 5 at once.
And then we're not doing all 5 at once.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I
Okay.
like the mayor's idea.
Okay.
So just notify you if we've given away the coin, or if we want to give away the coin.
Or Beth, or Reagan, yeah.
Sounds like you'd be like Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz or something, yeah. And the Godfather, or the father.
No, I think just let Reagan or Beth know, and make sure we get it on the agenda that.
Okay,
that a-
that's great.
A moment will be added to probably the beginning of the meeting. All right, I love the idea, thank you. All right, unless there's other comment for the good of the public.
You ready, Deborah?
I
You ready?
will hear a motion.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Is there a second? All in favor? Aye. All right, any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, guys.